at Iran's nuclear sites. Some even going as far as to say that the White House is being, quote, bamboozled, and that the deal is not good for America and the world. But so far, Secretary Kerry saying he's not backing down and he's standing firm.
The fact is that if we don't accept this agreement, if we don't keep with this agreement and put it to the test, year 15 or year 20 comes tomorrow. Literally. Because Iran already has enough nuclear material for 10 to 12 bombs.
Now, at this point, Congress has a little over 50 days to review and vote on whether it will support the deal. Joining us now with more, Florida Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and who has been on Capitol Hill this week monitoring all the reaction as Mr. Kerry has been testifying. Welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much, Uma. And it's interesting what Secretary Kerry says. I don't believe that that's true. We can get a tougher deal. Kerry will be in front of our Foreign Affairs Committee next week. And one of the things that I'm going to ask him about hasn't been brought out a lot. But in Annex 1 and Annex 2 of this terrible, weak, and dangerous deal, we are asking the UN and the EU to lift sanctions against individuals who have American blood on their hands. That hasn't been talked about, but it actually says, it spells out individuals by name. One is Soleimani. He is the current head of the Quds Force, a very dangerous military wing of the Iranian government. This is a guy who planned attacks against our U.S. servicemen and women in Iraq. And he will now be lifted of sanctions by the UN and the EU in our deal. Another guy, Vahidi, he was the former commander of the Quds Force. He's now the military head of Iran. He is wanted by Interpol for his role in the EMEA bombing of Buenos Aires, Argentina, of the Jewish Community Center. Why is it that in our deal we have to call for other entities to lift sanctions against people who have nothing but hatred against freedom-loving individuals?
No, it definitely raises big-time concerns. You know, even as this deal was being reviewed by lawmakers in hearings on Capitol Hill this week, Iran's leaders continue to send out messages on Twitter accounts vowing to defy America despite the nuke agreement and supporting groups chanting death to America, death to Israel. John Kerry is insisting that this deal is the only alternative to military action. Now, I know there are concerns from both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats. At this point, do you think there are enough votes in the House to torpedo this deal?
I hope so. I hope so for our future and for our children's future. If we think that it is okay to agree to a deal that says, Iran, all you have to do is bide your time, and in 10 years you can be a nuclear state. We're giving them a license to become a nuclear state, and we will be responsible for updating, modernizing their technology, lifting sanctions, giving them the financial wherewithal so that they can continue to fund terrorist groups like Hezbollah and be such a menace to our entire interest in the region. This is a bad deal every way you look at it. The lifting of the sanctions, and we saw this play out in North Korea. We've seen this movie before. It ends with Iran being a nuclear
power. You mentioned the arms embargo. It's supposed to be lifted as the deal goes through, which many believe will trigger a rapid Middle East arms race. But John Kerry is insisting that the deal will set off an arms and nuclear race if the deal doesn't go through. Are you and your colleagues even buying this notion?
No, that is just a farce, because what happened is that President Obama invited the leaders of the Gulf countries to come to Camp David in order to try to buy them on this terrible, dangerous deal. For them, it is a problem. And he said, look, I tell you what, you'll get these arms and you'll get these arms. So already the conventional arms race has begun, and very soon the nuclear arms race will begin.
I have just a few seconds left. Let me just jump in here really quickly.
We're encouraging them.
You know, is it true that the deal also calls for us to support Iran if Israel launches an airstrike against that country? Is that even possible?
I've read the deal, and I have not seen that. Now, we don't have everything that we want to know. Just this week, we found out that there's a secret deal between Iran and the IAEA on inspections, where it could be 2.5 months with arbitration. So who knows how many other side deals there will be. But even if you just stick to what is known, it is bad enough to be rejected.
Congresswoman, always great to see you with your insights and to have
Thank
you on the
Uma.
show. I always appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a great weekend.
You too.